Now, before I get started, just wanted to mention, this was pretty cool. I was at Barnes & Noble, picked up a couple of motorcycle magazines from England. This is one of the ones I think is the best. And there's quite a few articles in here. This was a lot better magazine than I thought it would be. You know, what caught my eye was there's somebody here, and they're doing an old Ninja, and obviously I've done an old Ninja. And this is, since I've been to England twice, I know how dedicated they are to their motorcycles, the world of motorcycles. This was a great project. The guy did a lot of cool stuff. And I thought this would really float our boat. Even John would be impressed with this. He did his own graphics. Pretty cool. But anyway, my whole point is there's people all over the world that are doing pretty much what we're doing here, what Luciano's doing, and Turbo Steve, and a bunch of other people, Mark Morgan. This is a cool little magazine, and I got it at Barnes & Noble. Check it out. Now, today we have a unique challenge. It's pouring rain outside, and I want to paint. It'll be pretty challenging. Well, but that's always the thing we have to sequence around, the weather. This time of year, the weather can play tricks. It's been playing some bad tricks on us with all this rain. I think we set the world's record for rain in the last year. But the good news is we still seem to get stuff done. But it's all these workarounds that we've been able to develop over the years, and today's going to be one of them. Now, there's always people that mistakenly think I have some kind of bottomless pit of $20 bills or endless amounts of time, and it's anything but that. What is true, though, is I do try to use my time very efficiently and not waste any of it. So after swapping out all the battery charges, everything's on charge, as if we were going to go for a ride today. But anyway, Turbo Steve, there's a chance he can break away from his Mafia Hitman job. If there is, we could work on his project. If not, I got stuff to work on the FZR. But we will get something done today. Now, I just noticed this morning we have over 4,300 subscribers. And I know a lot of the people, maybe they're only watching the first video or haven't seen any, that we've been working on this project over 80 days. And we do it in a very confined area. We do it on a limited budget. But we do it with some pretty good efficiency. And maybe that's one of the things, or the biggest thing you can pick up from the video, is how to do things a little more efficiently in your life. Anyway, down the shop. Time to have that coffee and get down the shop. This morning, this was what was on my windshield. I have to take Karen to the doctor this morning, so I've got to make sure the traction control works on our car. Anyway, that's what we're dealing with today. So yesterday I got the seat finished. It's sanded out, ready for some more clear. The only problem is we're not going to do any painting today. I would almost guarantee today's going to be a sanding or a buffing or a something day. When it starts out like this, very seldom does it turn out to be a painting day. And Steve's job, I guess, I didn't want to mask this ahead of time and leave the masking tape on indefinitely. I needed to know when he was coming. Maybe that's him calling right now. Who knows? You never know. So once we hear from Steve, we'll know if we can do. Now, my plan would have been, I don't know what Steve wants to do. We definitely could have a sanding day today. Do some wet sanding on this. Steve has been doing some of his own sanding, and he's getting good at it. And these parts are they're mostly flat. They're easy to sand. And once you learn the technique, he did the tank. And I did the seat, if I remember right. Once you learn the technique, from there on out, it's pretty much home for you all. So one of the things I've been waiting for, it just came in the mail. Santa Claus came late this year. These are the special bulbs that I had ordered for the FZR project. They're called SWITCHBACK bulbs. And a quick little story here. I don't want to break the box in case I got to return them. Here, this is what happened is I had ordered these. John found them on the internet. And, well, let's see what else we got. Ooh, I always love we get a couple extra decals. Well, maybe I should put that on Steve's bike. Ah! Anyway, I just want to make sure they haven't charged the guy that ordered the bulbs from didn't put his mortgage on my credit card. Oh, he did. Isn't that nice? Okay. So we'll check this out. Anyway, I always save the box in case they have to go back, and every once in a while they do. But anyway, here are the two bulbs. If you buy two, they're a little bit cheaper. They're 1157s. They're LEDs, and they're supposed to be very unique in the fact that this is what they look like. I don't want to touch them. Here is the normal bulb that would go into the bike, and these would be an exact replacement. In fact, they should be just, I don't want to force anything here. These are old parts. Like me, they're a little old in the morning. There we go. Okay, so the advantage is, now in my case, it's a little bit smaller diameter, so I can stick this further into the scoop, which is one of the features I wanted. I also wanted to see, now these are supposed to be super bright. Of course, I got to get a little set of jumper cables, and I can do a little comparison of my own. So, as everything in my life is not that scientific, we will have this wired up in such a way in the motorcycle that these are the running lights. And boy, they're plenty bright. Believe me, they are way brighter than a regular bulb. And that's what I had in there to begin with. And then when it goes from running light I think that's going to be pretty cool. It goes from, of course, I'll make a little clear lens for that. These are called switchback bulbs. Now the only thing left, I think that's going to be fine. The only thing that's really cool about this, these I already made the housing. They fit in, and because these bulbs are a smaller diameter, you can see the diameter is a little small, they should fit a lot snugger right into that part of the fairing where these are going to go. And since I've had them in there for 5 years already and never had a problem yet, these are just going to be an upgrade. I think that's going to be a nice upgrade, and thank you, John, for finding these. They're called switchback bulbs, and they're from this company. Let's give them a free plug, of course. SuperbrightLEDs.com. And I've bought stuff. I have their taillight bulbs on several of the bikes, including the GS, and they are much brighter than regular bulbs. And again, they're about 11 bucks a piece. So I did eventually get a call from Steve. His schedule and my schedule are not going to coordinate today. So we're making a definite firm time to do this tomorrow, and I hope the weather will be a little bit more adaptable to getting something done. And that leaves me with something I wanted to test. I was at Gavin's. I tried to get this of course, the label came off. 8021 was the best that I had ever found for polishing out the 5-star clear. This is supposed to be an exact replacement. Of course, you can never tell because everything, unless you read German, adapte Kunjaganda, you want to invade Poland or something, that's fine. But hey, there's only one way to find out. I've got a part. I always have a part. The way I try to do a restoration is I always have a part that's ready to be wet sanded, a part I can buff, a part that's sanded and ready for clear, and it all hinges on the weather available and the time window I have available. So this is the part. This part has been at least a week. It's got all the clear on now, unless the exception to that would be if we buff through for some reason. Well, no, hopefully not going to have that happen, but then we would have a little repair, a little touch-up, and unless we do that, there's no point worrying about it. But a lot of people, again, you pretend you're on a ladder. A lot of people would be perfectly happy with that. I laugh about it, and I'm not making fun of anybody. It's just funny that there actually is a kid on YouTube that painted his bike with flat black, and then the paint wasn't even dry. He drove off to do wheelies and stuff. And that was how to custom paint your bike. Well, but that's one level, one rung on the ladder. The next thing is like a factory finish. It's nice, but if you buff it too much, you go through the clear, and then there's the custom level, of which there's a lot of rungs on the ladder. The top rung of that ladder is when you have a lot of extra clear on, and you can almost every year rebuff it out, and you never worry about going through the clear, which is what we've done to several of the restorations we have. So what I found out, and the purpose of the video, of course, is to share, is always let the paint dry. Now, I just happened to look at the new can of 5-star that I just bought at Gavin's the other day. It says you can buff it in 90 minutes. Well, I wouldn't even try that, because maybe you can, but that paint is so soft. So I don't know. And I only can put on the video what I know firsthand. I don't like to put hearsay on, or, you know, Joe Blow in Oklahoma said do this or that. I like to do the test myself. I love those light bulbs, by the way. But anyway, from this point on, we have a piece of 2500 Merca and some soapy water. I'll sand the whole part, of course. There's no point, because I'll be able to finish this up today without a big deal. Now that Steve's not coming over, my goal is going to be to get this fender buffed out, and grandson's coming over. We got to turn the shop into Legoland and whatever. So, but now another thing, by doing one part at a time like this, I think you really get a lot better quality. And you notice I'm changing my direction constantly. We don't have to deal with going over the paint lines anymore, because for all purposes, they're not there. So I can be pretty cute about this. Now, I have seen, and I wouldn't try this on a motorcycle, but I have seen these cutting pads that are really 2500 sandpaper on a soft back that you could do like the hood of a car, but there's just too many angles and edges, and to me, the beautiful part of restorations is like the same attraction as modeling. It's workmanship. It's a dying art that almost for sure in our lifetime is going to be gone. They'll be wrapping cars with bubble wrap or something, or painting them with, who can even tell the way the world is going. But not many people really want to learn a skill like this. It's like a ninja skill. It's fading with the sunset. Anyway, it's got to be flat. Let me show it up close. There is an amount of, I think you can see the shine. It's called candling. You see the shine? It's flat. When it's perfectly flat, when I get the whole part perfectly flat, it'll be time to test that compound. I'll be pretty excited to see if that's going to be exactly like the 8021. Okay, we've got that part perfectly flat now. This part by the fork leg you don't really see, so I don't want to take a chance going through the paint. That is pretty much ready to test our new product with. Now, to be sure we're getting a valid test, I take the old pad off. And these things are cheap enough you don't have to try to use them forever. All this stuff is Harbor Freight, of course, and for our purposes, Harbor Freight stuff seems to work just fine. Now, I'm sure if I was making a couple $1,000s a day in a body shop, maybe I'd have that expensive stuff, but don't really need it. Okay, so we have a brand new pad. This is the product. I'm sure I don't even have to ask, don't even have to learn German to know you got to shake it. Because you don't know how many years this has been sitting on the shelf. We'll find out, but now one of the things you're not supposed to do is put too much of the compound on, and to be honest, I haven't found that to be totally true, but a lot of it does fly off. So I guess if you're doing this in a way that profit is your motive, maybe that's true. This looks different than the other product. The other product was white. Now, a lot of times it's better. Not always, though. We had a saying in the world of model airplanes. As soon as they would figure out something that worked good, fuel, propellers, glow plugs, whatever it was that worked good, the next season you'd see they discontinued it and put in dishwater or whatever. Okay, so we're ready. Nothing fancy here. Some of that's going to fling off. There's really no substitute for just patience here. It does take time. One thing you don't want to do is just hold it in one spot. You may have a tendency to overheat or burn the paint. always like to, before I get too cute about it, I'm not sure. We did that without a camera cut, so there's no. Here's our sanded part, and our what I will call rough buffing, because we're going to do, when this project is finished, we're going to do, or I could do it part by part, with a soft sponge on the big buffing wheel. But what I need then is somebody like Steve or somebody to hold the part while I run a buffer over it, or the bike can be assembled and do it. But I would say that product works pretty good. Now this looks like an exact replacement for 8021. Maybe maybe Dennis knows something. He definitely knows something I don't know. That's a lot more than I know. But anyway, this, I wanted to show just how this, like a cook would want to show you how to make a pizza or a dead fish or whatever, a gefilte fish. This is the method that I've used for many years. There certainly are other methods. There's probably more professional methods, but this is like I call the poor man's, and believe me, if you go to a car show, you won't see anything a whole lot better, unless you're spending $20,000 for a paint job. Maybe, and then maybe you will. I don't know. But anyway, that is pretty good. Now, the final thing that I need to find out, because 8021 was good for another reason. I always take a microfiber, take a little bit on my, and I want to find a little spot, see where there's a bolt or something, because I can't really get the buffer in there. And see how this comes up by hand, which already I can see it's coming up by hand, because some of these areas are really difficult to get with a with the little buffer. So even by hand, this stuff is working good by machine and by hand both. Well, we got a lot done today. I think that's something that's in the bank now. That fender's ready to put back on the bike. Not sure you can see my face in this. Oh, hello. I always think we used to have, when we were doing airplanes, this is funny, we would put the part up and you'd have to be able to look into black, and you'd have to see, you could watch TV in the black. An old model airplane trick. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hey, I was impressed with those light bulbs. I'm more impressed with this polish. And tomorrow we'll work on Steve's parts, assuming he has some time away from the mafia. So thanks for watching.